And we are recording. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the Diaspod.
Welcome to the Diaspod, ladies and gentlemen, wonderful listeners. Sorry, viewers.
Not today.
We have a public announcement. No more video. But yes, this is a decision that we came to. We had a vote, and one person voted for video, and the other did not. So
Then how was it decided that there was no video?
because the one that deals with video is the one that voted.
The editors,
The editor was like, "This
the
is too
editors'
much.
votes
It's too
count
much.
more.
It's
Yeah.
too much work." Yeah, but good evening. It's 9:30. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. A little bit. I'm not tired. That one. I know the tired, but I'm like, okay, it's been a very nice long day. Now I just wanna sit and relax.
You just want to
Kinda,
relax.
yeah.
Ish.
Before I fall asleep.
I saw your face when I was like, "Oh, we're going to record the podcast," and you're like,
I
"Oh."
always tell you when we do this podcast in the evening, you're really gambling when it comes to me.
But no, to be fair, I did say this in the morning, and you're like, we'll see, we'll see. That was your response. You're like, we might do it in the afternoon or in the evening. So
I mean, if the afternoon there was like that 1 hour ish that were both just like there, but then I thought it was like with video, so I knew like there wasn't enough time to like
oh
set this all
yeah,
up and just sit and talk. And also, it's not nice when you're sitting and talking and you keep looking at the time. I think we did that once, and like the podcast was just like a
true. It
mess.
was a mess. It was a
Yeah.
mess. Like looking at the timer is such a bad idea. Like it's okay to look at the timer if you
When the
have like
director
a
is telling
third person when the director is there. But unfortunately, our director quit. Yeah, he found a better opportunity
He
somewhere.
was bad
He
by the
found
editor.
he found paid work.
Yo, when you're starting up things and you ask
Uh,
people to do things for free. Hey,
that was because director. Yeah, I hope you listen to this. You didn't give proper notice, so
it just
you don't get a good reference.
director just stopped showing up. I think that's why it has also taken us a long time to make. Because like, when was the last time we recorded a podcast?
Exactly, it must have been like 3 weeks ago. It's taken us some time, people. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
How are you doing though?
I'm good. I can feel the darkness starting to get to me. I can't get up in the morning like I would usually. You are getting up more faster than me.
So weird.
So I think
It's-
maybe I should start taking my vitamins. Yeah.
Yeah, we probably need. Don't we have some vitamin D lying around somewhere?
Yeah, I think I need to get back on the vitamin train because yeah, then it's gonna knock me over, especially with the studying. I need the amount of studying that I actually need to get done before December.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise overall I have been okay. It feels like this past month like life has really been like fast paced. There's been like a lot happening, so much has happened, and it feels like it has always been like, okay, this is done, like what's next in the month, like this is done, like what's next in the month.
Yeah, what's coming?
Yeah, so I am, and I know even like November will kind of be like that as well because I have like a few things planned that need to happen, and I'm hoping like by the time it will be like the 8th of December because that's the last exam day that I officially know of for like both school exam and NOSHK exams.
Yeah.
So come the 8th of December, I actually want after that to just, I don't know, stay home and just be in bed. If I could even get like days of work, oh my gosh.
You just
Oh
get
my
to
gosh.
sit and relax.
I think I would love to just like a 2 days of nothing, just 2 days of, And nothing like including social media, just 2 days of just
just
like,
turn off everything, and just have
yeah,
that peace of mind.
yeah. One day for just sleeping and eating, and another day for like self-care and just like, yeah, getting back into it. And then like we'll figure out what to do after. Yeah,
Um,
that's me. How have you been?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Um, yeah, same as you. I've There's been so much going on, and I'm just trying to get things straight. I guess for me, it's trying to put things in order, just put life in order.
Oh,
So,
midlife crisis.
no, not really. I think I'm actually past that. So,
You already had your midlife crisis.
I already had my crisis. Now I'm in like recovery mode. So,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
I kind of figured myself out. So I'm just trying to put everything in order. Like, okay, I should be doing this here, and yeah, but I have it figured out. That's the good part.
Look at you go.
So I'm just putting stuff in place now. And
Sounds good.
yeah, but it's been good so far. It's been good so far, and yeah, just like you said, I'm working up earlier than you. So
You are practically getting me out up, and I'm like, this has always been the other way around. Yeah.
yeah, and most importantly, I'm just trying to get things done now. Like if I'm not an idealist, I'm a do it kind. I want to be the do it kind of person. So
Oh, you're no longer.
yeah,
You say you're no longer an idealist.
idealist where I have an idea, I need to do this, and then you just let it slide. So
Now you're
yeah,
like, I want to do this, and I'm gonna
and
do
I'm
it.
gonna do it, and I'm gonna do
You
it.
go.
So even today, I told myself I'm gonna make a podcast, and yeah, I came home and I was like, shouldn't I just get into bed and just relax? I was like, no.
You didn't even let me sway you, so that's really good.
But yeah, I've been good otherwise. Always well. I can't complain. There's so much going on, but yeah, it's things that just how I want it to be. But more on that. Later. There are details, of course, for you and me. But yeah, we have a topic to discuss. Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about we're talking about growth.
Okay.
Interesting topic.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was going to start this podcast with a question that I've forgotten. Um, but yeah, how was it? How was life for you growing up? Because
Yeah.
it's no, let me be specific. Like because we're talking about growth, or
Yeah.
maybe I should, sort of give
Give
backstory
context.
to this.
Yeah.
Um, there's always this question of are there people who are just born with a certain kind of mindset to say, if you're a hard worker, for instance,
Hmm.
if you always motivated, if you strive in like challenges,
Mm-hmm.
are people born that way, and are there people who are
Hmm.
just born with a mentality of a weak mentality? Rather, there are people who are just demotivated naturally,
Mm-hmm.
or is this due to the environment that we grow up in? Is
Mm-hmm.
this something that can be changed? Like, what's your experience? Like, how? Oh, I don't know how to phrase the question, but
I
based on
kind
your
of get what you
experience,
mean.
yeah, but based on your experience, do you feel like it's the person you are now and how you react to like challenges, and yeah, like how you perceive yourself is because of your parents, for instance, or the environment that you grew up in, the education you received? Or is it
Hmm.
just because of the person that you are? You're like, okay, I'm this person, I've always been like this.
So I should answer specifically to me, right?
Yeah, just for
Okay.
you, first of all, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think my personality traits,
Mm-hmm.
having like the certain mindset of, yeah, I need to get things done and like be organized and all of that, comes partly from yeah, my upbringing, the environment I was in, and also the um values that my parents instilled. My parents were very strict growing up, so I always had like structure and an organized schedule. So that's something that when things are disorganized, I think you notice. Like when there's no plan, I panic. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's why it's very hard. Like when I'm invited to like an impromptu party, like it's hard for my brain to go like, so you just decided like today we're gonna have a party and you like I
Yeah.
feel it's really inconsiderate when like it's not just how everybody's wired, like to, oh yeah, maybe I want to have a party, and you start thinking of dates. Like me, I'll think of dates when like I make sure I'm not busy and it's
Yeah.
like far away enough for like people to go like, oh yeah, they haven't thought that far away for them to have plans.
Yeah.
Like it's I try to make it like always organized for almost everything, even just like visiting somebody, or even just when I want to like I miss somebody and I want to have a phone call with them, I always try to make an appointment. I don't think there's anybody that I randomly call. Even my mom, I'm like, oh, are you busy? Can I call you this evening? Like, yeah. So I would attribute that to having that structure growing up, and then also just through my schooling, I think I have kept that structure. I think maybe at UNS I was a little out, not even a little bit, I was so disorganized. So because I think what changed was just not having like the enforcing kind of like power, because this whole other part growing up, there's always been somebody there to enforce the fact that I should remain organized,
Yeah.
right? But then at UNSA it was like, yeah, sure, you can be organized if you want. And I'm like, oh, that means I don't want to be. So that's where I think the change of points came from. It wasn't about environmental influence, or it wasn't about environmental influence, but it was about circumstances, if I could say that, of like, okay, I need to get my shit together because I have exams to pass, I have school to finish. And then now it just changes to a mindset of like, okay, if I want to get these things done, this is actually the person that I need to become.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it became a kind of like a will up to me. Like it was like up to me now to make it work kind of thing.
So if I'm getting you right, you are saying it was the environment, but was it built in you? Do you feel like you've always had it in you, like regardless of what happened at UNZA, like you didn't have support, for instance, and then later on you realized that, you know, your, I don't know, your attitude towards like how you lived life in general was not ideal. Like, was this something that you learned, or would you say that it's something that was, you know, it was in you? Maybe it had been dormant when you went to UNZA. Like, which is which?
I can't for sure point out like it was like a natural thing that was in me. But I would say it was there because of like the environment that I had. Like I grew up like that. So like for me, it was like the norm. Yeah. So it was easy to see like when I wasn't doing it anymore, to see what was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like what I needed to like switch back to, or what I needed to like improve or start implementing again. Yeah. But then this time it wasn't up to somebody else to do it for me. I had to do it by myself. Yeah. So like that was like the kind of like switch of like, oh, I don't have mom and dad to tell me anymore. I don't have like a teacher that would tell me like, hey, you're supposed to be in class right now. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to like, there was no that constant. Yeah. So now it was up to me to actually go like, oh, get up, go do this, do that. Like, yeah, get yourself organized. Yeah. So it was kind of like a thing that I don't think it was, I can't say I was naturally born with it. It was instilled, like values and whatever.
Yeah.
They instilled for you to be obedient, to be whatever. Yeah. So it was like part of those things. And then it reached a point of where like when I crossed that threshold of a young adult, it was something now that I needed to decide for myself to like keep doing it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. The
Before you move to the next question,
Mhm.
what about you? What do you think? What's your story?
I lean more on the side of like the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I don't even know where it comes from, but I would actually say it's the environment because
Mm-hmm.
personally, um, I wouldn't say I grew up in your situation where I had strict parents.
Mm.
My mom was strict, of course, like with regards to like the time that you come back home. You're supposed to be back home such and such a time. Make sure you eat like food with everybody, but it was not that kind of strictness that you speak about where you had to follow like school wise. My mom wasn't strict. She wasn't so strict with school. Like she wouldn't
The
like check
difference
my
is I'm a girl,
books.
yeah, boy.
No, but like even with my sisters, it was just the same. She wasn't that strict with school. She had I don't know what values you call them, traditional values, like
Mm-hmm.
bringing you up to be responsible, not to be smart, but like a responsible person. Like
Mm-hmm.
with regards to like swearing, language wise, if you swear, she would be serious about it. She's like
Nope.
those kinds of
Don't
things.
swear.
And so uh, I believe that had an effect. I think if she was strict, for instance, even with regards to like, if she was like, okay, you need to get such and such. I've seen like parents who like check their kids' books. It's like
Mine.
and the
Mine.
grades. Wasn't it
Yeah.
that Abishola
I be sure that
series that we were watching
saw mine. Yeah.
with the son?
Mm.
Yeah, so I actually do think it would have had an effect
Yeah.
if she had been more strict.
Mm.
And yeah, that makes me believe that it's not something that whether you're born serious or not, you're born organized. It's
Mm.
something that's instilled in you. So I do believe in like environment plays
Yeah.
a major role. Of course, they're just people who are, naturally,
Naturally.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
bit
true.
of, like born with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the biggest part comes from the external influence, like, parents, for instance. Mm. Yeah, so that's that. I want to say we agree that environment plays a huge role.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now comes the second question.
Hit me up.
Again, if you remember. Um I was listening to this guy. I can't remember his name. I think he's Huban, called Huban or something. He's like a neuroscientist. So he was talking about the motivation we give to not even children, like people. How
Mm-hmm.
you praise somebody matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like it determines how they'll respond to um let me give you an example. So you
Okay.
have like a child in an exam, right?
Yeah.
Your child or somebody who's young uh, gets a good grade in an exam.
Mm-hmm.
They get like, I don't know, 95%.
Mm.
So, and then let's say there are two kids, two children. They both get 95%,
Yeah.
right? With one of them, you walk up to them and say, "Ah, you got 95%. You're
Mm-hmm.
smart. You're a smart child." And then with the other one, you instead of calling them smart,
Mm.
you actually praise them for the hard work that they put in.
Okay.
You go like, "Ah, you worked hard to get 95%. That's really good." So with the other one, you're actually telling them that it's not because they worked hard, but you're just telling them that they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
With the other one, you're telling them, "Oh yeah, the reason why, I'm happy with this is because you put in the effort."
Yeah.
And this guy was actually saying there's a big difference like between how these two children would turn out.
Mm-hmm.
If the other one is praised for like like it's just you. It's got nothing to do with how hard you worked. You're just smart. You're just good at this. And then with the other one, um, you praise the effort, like the input that they put in. So my question is, do you remember yourself growing up, or even you, like in your case, how do you give praise to someone? Like if you see somebody achieving, for instance, do you praise them for being good at what they do? You're like, oh, you're just good at this. Or do you go like, you are a hard worker and yeah.
Huh. I've actually never thought about it, like how I give praise to somebody. I can think of like a recent thing that happened today actually. I sent a friend a job posting that I saw on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, I already like saw this ad on another platform, and like I applied and I got like a shift for the day. It was like a day job thing. So it was just to get a shift for like one day. It was like an event thing. Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, but then they were like, I'm not sure if it's like the same thing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. What matters is that you actually got something, because the goal of sending you like the ad was like so that you get something. So I don't know if that qualifies as praise, but I was like, yeah, great job. Like the thing is like you needed something and you got it. So
and you got it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's the same thing but the point is you actually, like, the goal was achieved. Like the reason why I was sending you this
was so you could.
Yeah, so I don't know, because most of the times when something good happens to somebody that is like close to me or somebody that I know, usually if it's like those people that are like, I know them but we're not really friends, usually I would not say anything at all. Yeah, because or if it's like a social media post, sometimes I would like it, sometimes I wouldn't. But then if it's people close to me, usually I'll just say like, congratulations and I wish you well kind of situation.
Yeah.
But usually I think even like when we're doing the mentorship groups and like maybe the students say something or answer a question, my response is usually, oh yeah, great job. Yeah, like I never go into detail of like, oh, you are smart, or you that wasn't, like yeah. So I've never really thought of it like that. I always keep I think I always give like generalized, I don't know how to say it.
It's just in general, like it's congratulations, like regardless of where the motivation came from, regardless of whether it's just you who's
like,
smart,
or great job, or like well done, like
praise the achievement.
Because like for me, it's like, okay, if this, whether it was a goal of yours or it wasn't a goal of yours, you've actually done something, you've achieved something. So yeah, good for you, great job.
Yeah, because I got back to thinking how some of us were raised. Like specifically for me, I always had like family, older people in my family, like extended family, that I'm left-handed, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about left-handed people is like, oh yeah, you're left-handed, you're smart. It means you find
it automatically.
it's like, so a lot of left-handed people are smart, so it's gonna be easy for you to like
go through school.
Go through school or just read stuff. Your friends will have to go through it like 3 times, and then for you it's just once, and then you'll be able to. And it got me thinking. I was like, maybe that's why somewhere it got into my head, and I go like, maybe I don't need to work as hard on this as everybody else because
I'm smart.
Because I'm smart. And yeah, the guy in the podcast actually said this. He was like, I don't know, they've actually been like, what do you call those? There's been research. Is it the survey where they put like human beings, like a sample of human beings, and then they tested this, where people were given some, I don't know, some kind of examination, and they were praised differently. One group was, told that they were good at they were good at the exercise, not that they had put in work or that they had worked hard or whatnot. And the other group, of course, was, was praised for the effort they had put in, regardless of like the marks that they had gotten. And moving forward, like there were, and of course this was for a period of time, right? It wasn't just like one exam or one task that they were given.
Yeah.
And then not only did they realize that with the subsequent tasks that came after, these ones that were told that they were smart, they handpicked like challenges that were easier, so they could maintain that that status of I'm smart.
Okay.
And even like, of course, the distribution of results was very different. It was like the same, but then when they were asked like, what score did you get? This group, most of them did not like say the actual score that they got. They tried to make it like, seem higher than it was actually, just to maintain that status of I'm smart. And then these guys that were praised for their effort, of course, went on to pick challenges that were tough because they were praised for, you're a hard worker, you're good at this and this. And yeah, it just got me thinking like, geez, if this could be true, it might be the reason why, some of us find ourselves like feeling lazy to complete tasks, is because of like the kind of praise that you're given growing up.
That's an interesting phenomenon. Because when I think back, my parents they really pushed. So for me, it wasn't that I was smart, it was that I wasn't smart enough. So, and I think the word smart isn't even the word, it's the word, I dislike the word intelligent.
Yeah.
Because of this fact, actually, because each time somebody got like first place in class, worst, I think we were having this conversation the other day when we were talking about positions.
Yeah.
The first, second, third. When you're third, it's even worse. Because I would not to bash my parents and everything, they were great. But then I would always get the review that not only one, but two people with the same hands, the same brain, the same teacher. You people sit in the same classroom. It's the same material, but two other people paid more attention than you.
How does that happen?
How is that even possible? So yeah, so for me, it's I don't even consider myself smart or intelligent. I just consider myself as a person who needs to get things done.
Make sure you get things done. Just get things done.
Just stay in front of the pack. Yeah. So I actually do get how you say, like, it can really, really affect how you look at stuff. Because for me, when like we get even like exam questions or assignment questions, I always say like it doesn't really matter when people go like, oh yeah, pick the one that you like or you think the one works. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Just give me whatever. I'll do the work and get it in.
I'm gonna do the work. Yeah. I'll just do the work.
Exactly. So it doesn't really matter like, oh, this one is easy, this one is difficult. Like either way, you have to do something. So if it's easy, great, it will be a breeze through. If it's hard, you just have to put in a little bit more effort. But the thing is, it has to get done.
It has to get done. True.
So many different experiences.
It's really, really different. Yeah. Oh, we're on 30 minutes already. This podcast flies.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, yes, true. What other thing? Yeah. The other thing that I wanted us to talk about is was like in growth, of course, in order for you to grow
Mm-hmm.
in anything really, you have to be you should be in a position to like deal with challenges. You're
Oh.
going to be faced with so many different challenges, and so one of the things that also comes up is the idea of how you look at a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It matters, of course, how you perceive something challenging. If
Mm-hmm.
you see a challenge as in a negative sense, I think you are less likely to. Why are you pointing at yourself?
Because for me, the word challenge itself is negative. Whether it's a challenge in
Yeah,
sport or whatever, it's
exactly.
just
So it matters. So first things first, how do you approach your challenges?
figure out. Because in my opinion, challenges should not be happening. Especially when I've done everything right, there should be no challenges. But then life just happens and just yeah, I'm not the best with I don't like challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not even the thing about like, being perfect. No, no, like my first thing is to freak out because when I've made a plan meticulously and it's, it should go accordingly. So when it doesn't go accordingly, like for me, the first thing is not to think of, okay, how do I fix this? The first thing for me, my reaction is always, this wasn't supposed to happen. So I need to go through the motions of like, this wasn't supposed to happen. Like I did everything. Like I need to go through like that whole thing for me to arrive at the, okay, this has happened. So now what do I do now?
What am I
And then
going
like I
to
can
do
go through the
now?
options. So when I jump the stage of like freaking out, I've noticed that if like I'm pushed to go like just jump the stage of freaking out, I won't be able to concentrate on actually like solving the problem because all I can think about of is this shouldn't have happened. Or like my like it's like I'm left behind in the this shouldn't have happened or like this challenge is presented.
Yeah.
And especially like those unexpected like challenges of where like the other day when I had to go to work and I didn't think of it because all the other times we've had to work on a Sunday, I would always check if there was going to be like a bus the next day, then I like kind of like prepare myself.
Yeah.
But that day I think like I got the shift like the day before and like there's a lot going on already. So like when it was like I just knew that okay, I just knew that I don't have to be so tired tomorrow. So that's why I even refrained from like so much of the drinking because I just didn't want to be like tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but then I forgot like the crucial thing of like, oh, I actually need to be prepared to see like the bus schedule. So when I woke up and to check out, because when I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm going to check like the one at what time. And it's a good thing I got up early. And there was nothing.
There was
like
nothing.
nothing at all. And there was nothing in the way of like even the one that could take me to a place closer was coming like after 10, like after my shift had started.
Yeah.
So now I went into freak out mode of like, why? Like this, I mean, of course I knew like Sundays is always tricky, but there is always a bus. Like it would always like start after 8, but it would always be there. It would
Yeah,
be once per
exactly.
hour, but it would like I was stuck in that phase for like a long time before like I could start finding solutions. Like for me, I need to work through the motions of like, okay, here is the challenge. I kind of need to have a reason. Like I need to figure out the reason for the challenge first before I get to like how do I solve the challenge. Yeah, so it's the same thing of like me trying to solve like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
First of all, like why the hell would anybody mix up so many colors and like why would they just make something difficult to just like make my brain hurt? But in that process of like whying and looking at the cube, I'm actually starting to notice like the patterns of like sometimes when I twist it here, like so it's like a process
It's
for
a
me.
process.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's me and challenges. I really don't like them. They give me
Interesting.
How do you handle your challenges?
First, at least I don't panic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to challenges, But then the problem with me is not really the panic, but it's how the time I take to actually get into that motion of attending to the challenge. Like
Yeah.
I would rather put something aside. I think it's, it sort of dives into procrastination, where there's a problem, and then you just sort of take a step back and go like, I think the panic actually helps in dealing with problems much, much faster than a person like me who's much more relaxed. Because every time I have a problem, I guess I try to think of the worst. Yeah, like the worst case scenarios, like what's the worst thing that could happen here?
Oh,
And
so if
then
it's not that bad,
if it's
then you're
not that bad, then I'm like, this is the worst thing that could happen. And then right there and then I'm just I get into relaxed mode.
That is so annoying. Right now, as you were speaking, I was just thinking of a story that happened a long, long, long time ago between you and me. Of when I broke my phone, not the phone that I have now.
I remember.
I think I was
that
supposed to be on my way to your place,
Yeah.
and then I dropped my phone in the bathroom, and like it shattered. Like
And the screen got shattered.
yeah, and I was like absolutely freaking out.
And I was just there. I was like, relax, come on. It's just a screen. It's just a screen.
and I think you asked me like, oh yeah, so are you gonna be here? Like, when should I expect
It's
you? I'm like,
are
you kidding me? How are you still expecting me? I've told you, like, my phone just broke.
Because at that moment, I had already thought to myself, I was like, okay, a screen is just gonna take until the next day for you to fix it, and then it's done.
Are you kidding me? I was thinking about everything that I have on my phone and all the plans. How was I? Because I think I had a smaller phone. I don't even know what I was using to call you. I had like another phone.
You had a different phone, I think.
Which wasn't like working properly, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, because you had the smaller Android phone. Yeah, I remember, and it was so slow.
Yeah, it was like it was so bad, and like, yeah, I knew just like, of course I would get to your place, but then like I just couldn't fathom, like, I had a proper working phone, but then I slept. I shouldn't have slept. You know, where you're thinking of like how the accident happened, and of course it was an accident.
Yeah,
it happened. It can happen to anybody. I mean, accidents happen. But for me, I kept on like going to the details of like, how could I have like, prevented this from getting me here?
Yeah.
So by the time I got to replacing the screen, was like the next day, because I needed to actually go through the motions. But for you, it was like, oh yeah, at least it wasn't your hand. So I mean, it was just your phone.
It could have been worse.
You could have broken your leg or something.
What I actually kept saying was, you could have lost the entire phone. At least it's still working. At least it's just the screen that's broken. But yeah, I guess that's my problem, and that's my weakness. The point, however, is in of course I don't know how true this is, but this neuroscientist guy, this doctor, Dr. Hubert, he said that when you look at challenges in a positive sense, I'm trying to think how that would apply. But anyway, like, of course, if you have a challenge and you sort it out, right? Whether it's a problem, and then take, for instance, the phone, the screen, the phone of the screen that broke. In that moment, the moment that you broke the screen, if you had thought about one to like did it have a cover? Like a protective, one of those protective covers that prevents the phone from breaking the screen. Yeah, you probably would have thought of getting a better one. You probably would have thought of
There's no point in
getting into the shower with your phone
if the phone's broken.
No, but the point is, in that moment, it was an opportunity for you to figure out a better way of protecting your next phone. You see?
But then that's the thing, like, that's why I was going through all the motions of like, how did this happen and how should it not happen? Again, I needed to retrace my step. That doesn't make the challenge positive.
No, but then, of course, if you're trying to retrace in the moment, if you're retracing, it's in panic mode, right? But think about it afterwards. Like if you think,
Still a challenge to me.
listen.
You're
Let me
not going to
finish.
convince me otherwise.
I'm not convinced as well, but I'm just laying out the idea that somebody brought up.
You, Dr. Hubert, your idea will not convince me.
But do you believe you became much more aware of taking care of your phone after that experience? Like the next
Of
time.
course.
Exactly.
No, I'm not saying
awareness that you
positivity does not come out of challenges. But it's hard for me to see a challenge in a positive light, like when it's still a challenge. After it's no longer a challenge, I have overcome it or I've not overcome it. Afterwards, when it's not the most pressing thing that's giving me headache, then I see the positivity out of it. Or try to figure out, like, whether it was negative or positive or neutral or whatever. But like when the challenge is there happening full blown in, no, I don't see the positive side of it. I mean, I could see maybe like as you said, like you kind of go like, the worst case scenario of like, oh yeah, it could be worse. And then you try to pick out like the good thing about the challenge, but then that's not a positive thing, because for me, I wouldn't consider it positive because the challenge is still there. It's still alive. It's still breathing. And I'm thinking of the one time when I didn't have my residency card. I'm like, this was like so dumb. Like I could have fact checked this before if I had like the full like overall picture, right? And the positivity afterwards, now that the challenge is over, now I know, like, I think I never part away with my residency card. Like I hold it close to my heart. After me, there's my heart.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the positivity that now came out of it. In the moment when they were holding me hostage, asking me questions if I'm the one, if I'm not the one, the only positive thing was like, okay, at least they're not deporting me, or at least I'm not in jail. Like, that was like the good thing or the positive thing about the challenge in that moment of like, it could have been worse.
Yeah, but then again, I believe I know it's difficult. Like it might not even be practical in certain instances. But
if
we're
it's a
speaking
theory,
of,
then it's okay.
it's not just a theory, but you're talking of an ideal situation. Like, of course, would you say that in an ideal situation you would want to panic when you're faced with challenges?
I do panic in an ideal situation.
That's not ideal.
It's not ideal, but it's what happens.
No, but ideal is how would you want it to be? Like there's reality and then there's ideal.
Oh, in an ideal situation, I would not want the challenges to be happening.
No.
You asked about what my ideal situation would be.
No, but the fact of the matter is challenges always exist.
Okay.
Like you cannot get rid of that.
So in an ideal situation, I should be calm and be solving the challenges.
How can you be calm? Like how can you be calm? Right?
I'm actually trying to think of a challenge where anybody can be calm. I mean, I guess there are people with the superpower of where when something big happens, I think my mom does that most of the time. When something big happens, she'll be calm and she'll be coming up with the solutions and all of that, and I'm just everywhere freaking out. But then I think that at some point, even you people who do that, you have to have a moment where you have to let out that concern or that pressure from that challenge out somehow.
Of course. But then it's the time it takes. Imagine if it took you like a minute you go like, oh my goodness, my phone is shattered. But then just after that you go like, okay. Just as you begin to process what the next step, you think, okay, how do I, just help myself relax? Okay, I'm going to think about what I'm going to do here and how it's going to like help me out after all of this. And then you relax right there and then.
then the worst part is what you're supposed to do next is call somebody on the phone that's broken to tell them the phone is broken. How do you relax?
Oh my goodness. It's tough. It's tough. It's not easy.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's not that I agree with the guy, but I just I
he's
agree with the
advocate.
theory. I agree with the
the
theory.
advocate of his theory at this point. So.
I agree with the theory, but I don't. I think it's practical. It's just in certain instances, sometimes
it's one of those applicable to some people.
It's hard to find.
It doesn't fit all.
It's hard to find positivity in certain things. So partially I agree with the theory, but I have doubts in how practical it is. Yeah. We are on 45 minutes now, so maybe we should be winding up. But so the whole challenge thing, how does it seep into like growth? Yeah. So what's
I think that as we were saying, the thing with challenges is you grow from after the challenge is over, whether you overcame it or it just died away naturally. There was nothing you could do about it. It's the lessons learned that become like the growth. As you said, I'm much more careful now with my phone. I just don't carry it with me everywhere anyhow.
Yeah.
And from the few examples we've cited, like you learn from the challenge and go like, okay, especially for some of us that panic right away, you're like, I never want to feel like that again. So I would rather take the extra steps to not find myself in that situation again. So that's the growth part of it, I think.
Sure. That is the growth part. And I also think that of course there are challenges, like things that happen unexpectedly. Accidents, for instance, breaking your screen phone. But then there are also challenges that can help you grow. Like I would speak of something that was a challenge for me, like reading a book. That's a challenge in itself, right? You need to like actually grab a book and start reading it. So I believe growth is also like looking at challenges in a certain way. I guess that's where I actually agree with the theory, where you start thinking, if I read this book, okay, I'm gonna get the knowledge, I'll maybe become a better person and all of that. You don't look at reading a book like, oh my goodness, I have to read through all these 300 pages and
I feel like I would have to read my school book.
Exactly. So there are such challenges, and that's where I think thinking about like challenges in a positive way comes into play. Like not necessarily with accidents, like you said, there's panic involved, and sometimes when you're panicking, there's no time to think about positive things. You're panicking.
True.
You're panicking. So I do feel like it taps into growth. It taps into growth somewhere there.
Challenge is on the way to growth.
It's on the way to growth. True. And also, next time you praise somebody, please praise their effort and don't tell them they're smart. Nobody's smart. We've heard from Dr. Hubert.
The people who are smart.
No, but then
you and Dr. Hubert.
Dr. Hubert says
Dr.
that
Hubert.
they might be smart, but you're killing them. Because the next time they'll
just think of their smartness.
They'll think of their smartness and they
we'll
won't
just
put
keep
in
telling
effort.
everybody, great job.
Tell them great job. Encourage people for their effort and not because they are good at what they do. There's no such thing as good at what you do.
So what I try to say about the people that always say, I'm good at what I do, or, they are good at what they do.
Eventually, they're going to fall like a stone.
Don't bring people down. People are good at what they do.
No, but this is just trying to make sure they keep up with the hard work.
But that's the thing. But that could be motivation on itself. If you're told that you are good at what you do and you want to keep that standard, you will keep being good at what you do.
and then you keep like picking the
Good
easy
night, Doc. I
challenges.
hope that.
You keep picking the easy challenges, like
No, you might
somebody,
actually push
somebody I know.
yourself to elevate yourself further because you want to keep the standard of being good at what you do.
Mm. Anyway, that
Thank you
was
so much, Dr. Hilbert, for making an appearance on this podcast.
that was Dr. Hubert. People, you could check out his podcast. I can't remember what it's called, but
We want
yeah,
to check out his
please
podcast.
check it out.
Listen
I
to this.
encourage you to check it out
Listen
as
to
well.
this podcast because on this podcast we have actually talked about Dr. Hilbert.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, wonderful discussion. And this is actually the last episode in this season, fortunately or unfortunately. Yeah, but a big congratulations. Yeah. We've managed to complete the season, and
when can we expect you back with the new season next year?
well, no, that's too far away.
It's not. It's literally 2 months away. Aren't you celebrating Christmas?
No, we'll take a 2-week vacation and reflect, and think of something better. Yeah. Otherwise, any last words before we say hoo-hoo?
Thank you so much for listening. And if you just came across our podcast, I hope you stick around and encourage us on our journey by listening. Get in contact with the podcast, and if you like our little banter, if you like to hear our voices, just encourage us. According to Dr. Hubert and John, you don't tell us that we are smart. Please tell us that don't tell us we're good at what we do. Just tell us that we are working hard.
Just encourage us to work hard, people. Encourage us to work harder.
Yeah. So it's been a good season. It started out with lots of testing and lots of and I hope I can make the cut into the next season as well, because this is actually really fun.
And we're casting for the next season. We need a director and somebody.
That's true. Director, lights manager, camera guy, we need a crew.
We need a crew. So exactly what you said. Happy, it's always fun. Just having these conversations. I know it's recording and it's a podcast, but at the same time, it's just it's enlightening. It's good conversation. It helps a lot, and it's fun. So long may it continue. Looking forward to what comes after this, and we will have a review of the season. We just need to, rewatch all the episodes and see how it's gone. Because we've come a long way from using one microphone, 2 people, from using it's been a long way.
It's been a long, long way.
Yeah, but thank you very much for joining me once again as a host. It's been John and Tenjiwe, people. And
Tenjiwe, people. That sounds like it's my son.
It's been John and Tenjiwe, people.
Thank you.
Say it right. Yeah, and until next season, it's goodbye.
Bye.